Good afternoon. I'm Kylie Whitaker with the Office of Career and Technical Education. I have with me Sherry Craig from the Office of Career and Technical Education as well. Sherry and I are the CTE contacts for the career readiness for students working toward an alternate high school diploma. So welcome to the Kentucky Alternate Assessment Training for school year 2021. This module will walk you through the Employability Skills Attainment Record Administration Guide. Most slides will reference specific pages. Please print a hard copy or access an electronic version from the Kentucky Alternate Assessment Program, KAAP webpage before continuing this training. The Employability Skills Attainment Record, referred to as the ESAR, is one of 4 components of the Kentucky Alternate Assessment. The ESAR was developed for students with significant cognitive disabilities in an alternate course of study and working toward the alternative high school diploma. The ESAR is designed to provide a career readiness measure within the Transition Readiness Indicator of Kentucky's accountability system. There are 2 ways for students to achieve transition readiness within Kentucky's accountability system. Students must earn a high school diploma, then meet the requirements of one type of readiness, academic readiness or career readiness. In alignment with the regular assessment, the achievement of career readiness is not mandatory. The accountability system allows for meeting the requirements of academic readiness or career readiness. However, schools must provide students opportunity and access to work toward career readiness. This includes students participating in the alternate assessment. The ESAR is a rating scale that assesses student demonstration of skills linked to the Employability and Foundation's academic standards alternate assessment, typically referred to as the EFAS. The standards within the EFAS align with a subset of the standards assessed by the Career and Technical Education End of Program Assessment, or CTE EOP, for articulated credit in the CTE Pathway Standards document. The standards are included in Appendix A of the Administration Guide. The ESAR includes 30 total items. The ESAR is administered to all 12th grade students working toward achievement of career readiness status within the transition readiness component of Kentucky's accountability system. Working toward means the student has completed the coursework leading to the Career Work Experience Certification, or CWEC, or is in the process of completing the courses. The courses are documented on the student's multi-year course of study and transcript. A student in grade 11 may be assessed early if the student has completed the first 2 courses leading to the CWEC and is scheduled to complete the remaining 2 courses before graduation. This slide shows coursework leading to the CWEC and the conditions for early ESAR assessment of students in grade 11. The requirement means the student has already taken developing career options and skills as indicated on the student high school transcript, and before graduation will complete experience in workplace principles and individualized career work experience. A grade 14 student has continued opportunity for assessment on the ESAR if the benchmark has not been met at grades 11 or 12 prior to this. Note, the ESAR is not administered to students with a graduation code. A student will not be included in accountability reporting until the year of high school exit with a graduation code. If a student is assessed at multiple grades, the scores are stored by us in the Office of Career and Technical Education at KDE until the student exits with a graduation code. The highest score will be selected for accountability. So basically, we're saying that if the student takes the test more than once, we will accept the highest test score that the student receives. The highest possible rating on the ESAR is 60 and the benchmark is a 37. If a student assesses in 11th grade by meeting the requirements and gets a 36, they will have another opportunity in their senior year of meeting that benchmark of 37 or higher. So this would give them an extra chance to be assessed and to meet that benchmark. The ESAR is completed by the qualified ESAR administrator or QEA in collaboration with other members of the student's instructional team. The QEA must be a certified staff member. The QEA must be the teacher of record or another certified district representative. The teacher of record is typically the primary special education teacher of the student who is most familiar with the student's performance across multiple assessments. Other team members include special education teachers other than the QEA if a student has more than one special education teacher, general education teachers dependent on the extent a student participates in the general education program, and other certified staff members who have knowledge of a student's current performance levels in the areas assessed by the ESAR. Others, such as a student's speech or language pathologist, occupational therapist, career technical education teacher, guidance counselor, or school psychologist, often have valuable information about the student's performance in different settings. Classified staff such as employment specialists and paraprofessionals can assist in providing information about a student's current performance levels in the skills assessed by the ESAR, but the responsibility of scoring and providing the primary information is that of the certified staff members. The QEA must pass the qualification quiz before ESAR administration begins. Upon successful completion of the quiz, the QEA will be prompted to download the ESAR. Only a QEA will be able to assess the ESAR from the CRAAF system. The QEA will print the ESAR and copy for each student eligible for assessment in the current school year. Just as the QEA may begin assessing students upon completion of the qualifying ESAR quiz, consultation with other team members may also begin at that time. To arrive at the final ratings, the full instructional team must meet at least once per year. Experience in the field indicates the best time to complete the ESAR is prior to the transition meeting or the annual admissions and release committee, the ARC committee meeting. The ESAR must be completed by May 28th of 2021 for the 2021 school year. Every ESAR item must be rated on a 3-point scale. There must be a response for every item. When rating an item, any mode of communication or responding that is typically utilized by the student is acceptable. The rating descriptions are on page 6 and 7 of the administration guide. 0 is the response for skills and concepts the student does not demonstrate in any setting. 1 is the response for skills the student displays only with some level of prompt, such as a verbal cue, partial physical guidance, or modeling. A rating of 1 is also used for skills that are displayed inconsistently. If a student can demonstrate a skill occasionally but not consistently, then the skill should be rated 1, developing/supported. A 2 is the response for skills that the student clearly has mastered and performs independently. To be rated as 2, independent/mastered, the student must demonstrate the skill consistently over time. The student does not have to demonstrate the skill every time, but over the course of instruction, the student has shown that he or she has mastered the skill without being prompted. Note that the student may use some type of support. A student who independently asks for a support and/or uses a support independently while demonstrating a skill can be rated as a 2. For example, a student uses a visual calendar as a support. If the student asks for the visual calendar and/or independently uses it to complete a task, the student can be rated as a 2. If the student is prompted to use the visual calendar, the student would be rated as a 1. Some ESAR items are scored based on performance at a work site. A work site is defined as a non-school integrated competitive environment where the students engage in work-based learning options customized and aligned to their post-secondary goals. including entrepreneurship, mentoring, shadowing, internship, or cooperative education. For careers found only in educational settings, the placement should be outside the student's school of attention. Please note that during this COVID-19 school year, we are offering a lot of flexibility around this worksite definition. If the student's parents or the student is uncomfortable being on a worksite due to the COVID-19, or if the employer is uncomfortable having the students on their worksite due to the COVID-19, then other alternative options are available for that student to do work-based learning. Just for example, a simulated workplace experience as opposed to a workplace experience on the work site may be required due to COVID-19 situations. The Office of Career and Technical Education, along with other offices at the Kentucky Department of Education, will be posting, or by the time you see this, may have already posted a guidance document listing a lot of alternatives for work-based learning for this COVID-19 school year. The rationale supporting the typical worksite definition in a non-COVID-19 year is provided in Appendix B if you want to see that. The rating for each ESAR item must be based on direct observation of different performance must be documented. The instructional team does not rate ESAR items based on what they think the student may or may not be able to do. Documentation must verify the rating. The documentation is called supporting evidence. In most cases, supporting evidence for the ESAR is derived from existing progress data collected during the instructional process. Teachers and related service personnel typically keep progress data in student working folders. The general instructional cycle followed by teachers and related service personnel typically includes the steps outlined on page 8 of the administration guide. Embed the standards within the EFAS into instruction, curriculum, and IEPs as appropriate. Assessing for maintenance of skills previously mastered aligns with good instructional practices. Assessing for maintenance at the beginning of each year is recommended, as well as maintenance checks throughout. Skills not maintained should be included in the current year's instruction. During the administration of the ESAR, the student's instructional team will select existing progress data from the student's working folder to support the 0, 1, or 2 ratings. The documentation is then stored as supporting evidence in the Career Ready Alternate Assessment folder, known as the CRAAF. Supporting evidence may take various forms, including but not limited to staff journals with results of informal or formal observation, workplace performance evaluations, behavioral checklist, videos of student demonstration of performance, and employment specialist monthly reports, specifically monthly reports for job development / job coaching. Existing documentation for a skill assessed by an ESAR item may be dated within the last 4 years. However, when a student masters and performs the skill independently in a previous year, an activity or observation to check for maintenance of the skill must be performed during the school year of the ESAR administration. To retain a previous status that a student has mastered and performs independently, the current year performance check must indicate the student continues to demonstrate the skill consistently over time. The ESAR item rating must be based on the current year performance check. The check for maintenance takes precedence over previous data and substantiates the response selected on the ESAR. As needed, team members should supplement supporting evidence with additional assessment activities. For skills not yet observed and documented, team members should create opportunities for observations and assessment. This slide depicts an example for when progress data indicates a student mastered a skill in a year prior to the administration of the ESAR. In grade 10, the student independently used charts, guides, and written directions to complete task and work assignments. The teacher conducted a check for maintenance of the skill in grade 11. If the student hadn't maintained, the skill instruction would be provided. The same process would occur in 12th grade as well. During the administration of the ESAR in grade 12, the most current maintenance check / supporting evidence would determine the final rating on the ESAR item. In this example, the student is able to independently use charts and guides, but hasn't mastered written directions to complete task and work assignments. The members of the student instructional team may determine assessment activities are needed to supplement the existing supporting evidence. Consensus must be achieved when the student's instructional team meets to determine the final rating on the ESAR items. For many items, the supporting evidence will lead to immediate consensus. For this reason, the team members may wish to focus on discussing and resolving any differences for items about which there is no general agreement. In cases of non-agreement, the team members should examine the supporting evidence for the basis of differing ratings. If the team members cannot reach agreement, or if they determine the student demonstrates different performance levels at different times or under different conditions, the lowest of the ratings being considered must be assigned to the item. The ESAR is considered secure testing material and must follow the administration code and regulation established for all state required assessments and optional tests administered by the school personnel that are reported in Kentucky's accountability system. 703 KAR 5080 Administration Code for Kentucky's Educational Assessment Program can be reviewed in its entirety on the KDE website. The link to the regulation is provided on page 9. Page 9 of the administration guide also contains concepts selected from the regulation test security section that more closely address a rating scale assessment like the ESAR. Be sure to review and follow all test security requirements. The CRAAF houses the documentation for the ESAR and the Career Work Experience certification, the second measure of career readiness. The QEA is responsible for maintaining the CRAAF. After completing the ESAR training and qualification quiz, the QEA will print the ESAR certificate and file in the CRAAF, provide a copy to the back or DAC, file the student information page in the CRAAF, file a signed copy of the completed code of ethics in the CRAAF, download the ESAR and a copy for each student eligible for ESAR administration, maintain the ESAR in the CRAAF when not in use, and file the completed ESAR and documentation in the CRAAF at the end of each school year. CRAAF components include in the following order: student information, teacher code of ethics form, qualification quiz certification or certifications, employability skills attainment record, and the career work experience certification. The Career Work Experience Certification Administration Guide for school year 2021 is hyperlinked in the manual and provides information about the CWEC section. The student information page form is stored in the student information section. Form components include student name, school, district, grade, state student identification number or SSID, district enrollment date if the student is new to the district, date participation in the alternate assessment was determined if placement occurred during the current school year, accommodations listed in the current IEP for the student, and the name and signature of the supervising teacher. A hyperlink to the KDE Alternate Assessment and Accountability folder webpage, where the student information page can be found, is provided on page 11 of the administration guide. There are two versions, one electronic version, and the other is a form that is downloadable that you can save. School personnel assisting with the administration of the ESAR must sign the Code of Ethics. The Code of Ethics must be provided to acknowledge that school personnel have read and agreed to comply with all policy areas shown on the slide. If a QEA has multiple CRAAF folders, The signed code of ethics must be duplicated for placement in each. Any non-school personnel who assist with ESAR administration should sign a non-disclosure form, which is also filed in the CRAAF. A hyperlink to the forms are provided on page 11 of the administration guide. The qualifying quiz certification or certifications component of CRAAF houses the ESAR certificate documenting the QEA successfully completed the qualification quiz. The ESAR certificate is printed from the online training system or the OTS housed on the Kentucky Alternate Assessment Program CRAAF website. A copy is placed in the CRAAF and one copy is provided to the BAC or DAC. The ESAR component of the CRAAF can include up to 5 years. The number is dependent upon when and how many times the ESAR is completed for a student. If the ESAR is completed early at grade 11, the folder section begins that year. If not, the ESAR documentation begins at grade 12. Reminder, the ESAR is required for all students at grade 12 working toward career readiness designation within the accountability system. If the student exits with a graduation code at the completion of grade 12, the ESAR documentation ends at that grade level. If the student does not meet benchmarks in grade 11, if eligible for early administration, or grade 12, and continues receiving services as a grade 14 student, they may continue to be assessed on the ESAR. A section is added for each grade 14 year until the student either meets benchmarks or exits with a graduation code. The ESAR documentation is kept each year and includes the completed ESAR and supporting evidence, anecdotal notes regarding specific student information on the ESAR, and documentation concerning the meeting to complete the record, i.e. who, where, and when the meeting occurred. Career readiness will be reported by KDE's Office of Career and Technical Education, OCTE. Therefore, personnel from OCTE will audit CRAAFs during monitoring or review visits for career and technical education programs. At the time of the folder audit, the reviewers will confirm that the supporting evidence substantiates the ratings on the ESAR items. At the local level, DACs may choose to monitor the CRAAF to review programming and assessment compliance. This is completely a district level decision. The QEA reports the ratings of students' ESAR performance levels to the Kentucky Department of Education. The QEA transfers the ratings for the 30 ESAR items to the Career Ready database or the CRD, and the CRD is housed on the CRAAF website. June 4th, 2021 is the last day to enter scores in the CRD. Grade 12 students are entered in the CRD by CRAAF personnel. A grade 11 student eligible for early administration will appear in the CRD, will not appear in the CRD, nor will students in grade 14. The DAC, DOS, or district level administrator registers the student in the database, then contacts Sherry Craig or Daryl Mattingly to request the student record be opened. Once the student record is open, scores may be entered into the CRD. So once again, grade 11 students that are eligible will not appear automatically in the CRD, and those grade 14 students will also not appear automatically in the CRD. Pages 13 through 14 summarize the steps for completion of the ESAR. The QEA facilitates the process, but student instructional team members also have responsibilities. When school starts, the QEA and instructional team members begin instruction on the EFAS-AA, document student progress, and maintain progress data in student working folders. The QEA must complete the ESAR training and the qualification quiz in the OTS. The QEA prints and files the ESAR certificate in the CRAAF. Provide a copy also to the BAC or DAC. The QEA files the student information page in the CRAAF. The QEA and school personnel assisting with the administration of the ESAR sign the Code of Ethics. The QEA files a copy of the signed Code of Ethics in the CRAAF. Non-school personnel who assist with the completion of the ESAR sign a non-disclosure form. The QEA files the form in the CRAAF. The QEA downloads the ESAR from the OTS and makes a copy for each student eligible for ESAR administration. The QEA completes the ESAR demographic information for each student. During the school year, the QEA and instructional team members continue instruction on the EFAS-AA, document student progress, and maintain progress data in the student working folder. The QEA rates ESAR items based on supporting evidence. Throughout the year, QEA consults with other team members who may provide supporting evidence. The QEA keeps the ESAR and supporting evidence in the CRAAF within a secure location when not in use. During the instructional team meeting or meetings, if needed, the QEA reviews the ESAR directions with instructional team members. Together, the team reviews all standards and test items for common understanding. Then instructional team members discuss each test item and supporting evidence. They jointly decide on how the student's performance on each item should be scored, either as a 0, 1, or 2. The QEA documents the ratings and gathers the supporting evidence for each test item. After the assessment, the QEA reviews the completed ESAR to ensure that all items have been marked. The QEA then stores the finalized ESAR and supporting evidence in the CRAAF within a secure location. By June 4th, 2021, the QEA must transfer the ratings of student performance to the CRD housed on the CRAAF website. This concludes the ESAR training module. You may complete the ESAR qualification quiz on the CRAAF website. Review the ESAR administration guide if needed before assessing the quiz. You have 3 opportunities to pass the quiz. Upon the 3rd failure, you will be locked out of the CRD system and must notify your DAC, DOS, or district level administrator. Upon successful completion of the quiz, you will be granted access to the ESAR. Our best wishes on the quiz and for the 2021 school year. Once again, my name is Kylie Whitaker, and Sherry Craig is with me and works in the Office of Career and Technical Education. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.